to a very unusual episode of Colton Screencasts. In this particular episode, we're going to be taking a close look at Jamboard, which is a interactive whiteboard app created by Google. And so we're just going to dispense with all the fun introductions, and we're just going to get started right away. So here we go. Well, Jamboard, basically, like I said earlier, is a collaborative interactive whiteboard. It provides features for use both with desktop and mobile devices. And upon return to the classroom, it will be perfect for use with our Promethean boards, or if we're lucky, maybe we can buy some Google kiosks and be able to use it even more efficiently. The Jamboard itself provides many similar features to other Google apps. For example, as you can see up here, you can use it to share. There's also a toolbar for you to be able to access a variety of different tools, which we'll talk about. You have your view feature, so you can, of course, zoom in and out and do all of that type of basic stuff. One of the cool features is that you can change backgrounds. So as you can see here, if you want your background to be a set of dots, you can do that. Or if you want lined paper, or you want a graph if you're doing a math class, or even colored or inverted graph colors. However you wish to do it, there are a variety of different options for backgrounds. For ours, we're going to keep it straight up blank. In terms of other options, you have your menu features up here. Anytime in Google you see the three dots, that means that you've got some menu items. So you can always rename. You can download your entire Jamboard as a PDF file for easy sharing. You can also save it as an image, i.e. like a JPEG or a PNG. We'll talk more about those later. You can remove it, of course, make a copy, do all of that type of basic stuff as well. You can also add new slides to Jamboard by using the arrow keys. So for example, if you want to go to the next frame, you can do so. As you can see here, we're going to be recreating this Jamboard frame, but then you can always add a new frame just by clicking the little arrow. You can also expand the frame bar by clicking on the frame bar itself, and then you can add this way by clicking the plus sign. Now you can only add up to 20 frames in Jamboard. So Jamboard it's not like Google Slides where you have an unlimited number of slides you can create. You can only create 20 frames maximum in this program. So let's go back to our first one here. Now, there are a variety of tools to use in Jamboard. For example, you have your drawing tool right here, which allows you to select from pens, markers, highlighters, and brushes in 6 different colors. So you can obviously do any type of coloring or marking that you want to do. And you can always undo using the undo arrow. You have an erasing tool as well. So let's say that I decide that I want to do some highlighting here, and I want to erase just part of it. I can grab my eraser and click on that here, and then bam, get rid of it. All right, so that's definitely some choices that we have there. You also have your pointer tool, which allows you to select objects and move them around on the screen. Then you have this really super cool tool, which is called the sticky note. The sticky note also comes in multiple colors, and you can type in whatever you want in there, click save, and it puts a sticky note on the screen, which then can be moved around with the pointer tool. You can also size your note to different sizes depending on what you want to do. This works really well with group assignments, which we'll talk about in a bit. You'll find that you're using this feature an awful lot when you're doing a Jamboard. So as you can see, one of the items here is the shape tool. So you can click on the shape tool and select any shape that you want. And just like you do in any kind of drawing file or whatnot, you can create your shape and put it on the screen. So that gives you some control there. You also have here the text box tool, which allows you to create a text box and type in whatever it is that you decide. So you can do that, and then of course you can resize it to make it as large as you want. Now, just kind of like with Google Sites, you don't get to really pick your font, but you can determine how you want your what size you want it at. And so you have choices between display, title, subtitle, normal, and caption. So if I make it normal, it goes to that size. And of course, again, I can always expand it. So that leads us to the last item, which is the pointer tool. The pointer tool serves very much like any type of laser pointer. So if you're actually using this in an online direct instruction lesson or something with your students, you could very easily just go ahead and pull on the pointer tool, and then you can create particular circles or point things out, and then it just disappears. The mobile device allows you to add files from Google Drive. So if you click here on this section, you can actually access your Google Docs. You can also access slides, sheets, images, drawings, and PDFs and put them directly into your desktop. So that gives you some control over that. Now, you cannot do that through the desktop itself. You can only do that through the phone or the tablet. Once it's in the desktop, all you have to do is just basically click on the double click by tapping twice on the item on your phone, and that will allow you to take the item out of its document form and convert it into an image file that can be manipulated on the screen. And then you can move that around and resize it, and you can do that in your desktop app as well. So sometimes if you're looking to insert a Google file into your Jam, you will need to do that through your mobile app, and then you can play around with it on your desktop if you prefer that level of control and usage. You also can take photos directly from your camera and put them into your Jamboard. Unfortunately, though, you cannot do videos. Jamboard does not allow for you to embed videos into their, like you can with Google Slides. So if you're looking to embed a video, which by the way, video will be part of the presentation I'm going to show you in a bit, when we do the designing, that will be a problem. So you cannot do videos, but you can do photographs. Any type of images is perfectly acceptable. You also can add images from your mobile device's image library. So that gives you again some options. So if you're online and you're searching on your phone and you find some really cool things that you want to share with students in a Jamboard, you can obviously save those to your phone's image library and upload them directly. You also can use the image feature on the desktop, which we'll take a look at in a bit, and you'll be able to see how to do that. And then lastly, you have assistive drawing and text tools. These allow you to, these take over for the shape tool and the text box tool. They allow you to directly draw the shape with your finger, or if you're using like an iPad with an Apple Pencil, you can draw the shape and then it will convert it directly into the shape that you were looking for as an image file. It will do the same with your text. However, if you're going to do the assistive adaptive text feature, keep in mind that it does separate each of your strokes into separate images. So sometimes if you don't do it all really quickly and swiftly, it will kind of corrupt your text, and it will pop up as different image files, and it can make that look kind of weird. So you get used to it over time. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. And then that leads us now to talk about uses. So what will we actually be using Jamboard for? Well, Jamboard it's varied. Google designed it specifically for their Google Kiosk, which is kind of like a Promethean board type of interactive whiteboard television. So that way you could put it in a group setting, and then everybody can kind of huddle around it and collaborate together. In a distance learning model where we are projecting screens to students, you can very easily use it for direct instruction if that's your jam. If you want your students to do collaborative posters, you absolutely could have them create those. You could have multiple slides to create a gallery walk where students would be going slide by slide. You could give them group graphic organizers. We'll take a look at a graphic organizer layout today, and you'll be able to see how that works. And then lastly, you'll have problem-solving activities. So students can work together. I know in the past, I've used Jamboard to help design websites and be able to solve problems with a variety of different things. The cool thing about Jamboard is that it can be assigned using Google Classroom. So if you have a Google Classroom setup, you can either assign it as a single jam where you give it everybody in the class has editing access if you want it to be a class activity, but you also could have it set up to where you have it as a copy. So you can create an individual copy for every student. Or if you were really ambitious and you wanted to do Jamboards within groups, you could actually select your groups ahead of time and assign them a specific, like say you have like 4 kids, you can assign those 4 kids one Jamboard. And so that now leads us to designing. How do we design a Jamboard? So I want us to begin in the Jamboard as you see here. In this, this is just nice blank space. I'm going to show you how to create this. All right, so much like a cooking show, I've already got everything already created for you so you can see. And all I've done here is I've added a graphic organizer. I have also added an image file and some directions for students. So I'm going to show you how I did this very basic setup. And then once you have the basics down, you can play around with it and experiment as much as you need to. So to begin, we start in Google Drive. That when you do Jamboard is that you're going to have to use other types of apps to be able to make it work. And so the app that I use most frequently with it is Google Drawing. So with that, I'm going to go here into my Jamboard templates folder, and I'm going to create a Google Drawing. So I go into my new plus sign there, go down to more, and I select Google Drawing. If you're not really familiar with Google Drawing, I'm just going to show you some basic features right now, and then we'll go from there. This here is a normal 4x3 setup. So this is a little bit too small for the Jamboard. The Jamboard itself is built for a 16:9 television. So as a result, you're going to want to actually reframe and resize the aspect ratio. To do that, you go into File, you click on Page Setup. And under Page Setup, you have choices. You have widescreen 16:9, 16:10, or you can custom size it. We're just going to click 16:9 for this one. And so as you'll see, that will now change the look of the background. So now it is wider. Then from there, we will begin to add our items. So as you can see here, I already have this kind of set up. And the easiest way to do this is by inserting a table, because I want a graphic organizer, and I know that my graphic organizer is a 2x2. So that brings this up on the screen. So all I did was I went to Insert, Table, selected the size, just like I would in Google Docs. The chart that I'm going to create for this is called a See, Hear, Feel, Believe chart. So if you're showing a film text to your students, this is a great way to get them started interacting and engaging, that kind of text by focusing on what they're seeing in the frame, what they hear in the sound design, how they feel as they're watching it, and what they believe they're being told to believe by the filmmakers. And so this is an opportunity for them to be able to engage with that. You can have them do this by themselves individually. You can put them in groups where they are only focused on one of the 4 elements and jigsaw it. There are a lot of different ways to be able to handle this particular assignment, but I'll leave that up to you. So now I've created my chart. In order to put this over into Jamboard, all I have to do is click on the File menu and Download. So Jamboard allows you to upload Google images and drawings and stuff if you want to do it through your phone, but I want to use just the file itself. And so all I would need to do is download it as an image file, and then I can upload the image from my desktop. So to do this, there are 2 options that I am provided for here. Number 1 is a JPEG, and the other one is a PNG. A JPEG is the full image with all of the background. So if I save this as a JPEG, the checkered background you see will appear. It will save this all as one collective image. It will be a 16:9 image that will have everything that you see on the screen in that little box will all be present there. It freezes every element and makes it as to one. If I make it a PNG, however, PNGs remove all of the other unnecessary vectors. So that checkered background that you see there, that basically would just disappear, and this would allow me to layer this over anything that I wanted. So I save almost everything as a PNG unless I absolutely want to preserve the square format. So what that's going to do is it's going to cause a download. So as you can see, the download is now happening here at the bottom of my screen. In order to put it in my Jamboard, I'm going to go ahead and click on my Jamboard tab, and I'm going to click on the Add Image tool. Add Image allows me to add specific images. You'll see this image here. This is a JPEG, so it will allow me to add JPEG. So if I decided to upload this into my Google Drive, I could easily do it by clicking on My Drive and doing it that way. But it has a nice little feature here called Upload. So that allows me to either select files from my device, so from my computer's hard drive, or I can just drag this item here, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drag this item right here. As you can see, it's now going to appear right in the middle of my screen, which allows me to now go ahead and resize it as I need to in order to fit it on the screen. Okay, so now I have my graphic organizer setup. And so the next step is I know that I want to add in a photograph because I want the students to take a look at a very particular video. I want them to look at a scene from the movie The Fast and the Furious from 2001. It's a great sequence, and so I want the students to watch that because it's exhilarating and fun. There's a lot to see. The sound design is very exciting. The feel of the scene is pretty obvious, so I don't have to worry too much about students trying to find some sort of emotional complexity. And in terms of what they believe, well, they just have to believe it's badass because it is. So, so in order to add an image of the film, I can just click here on image, and I would go to Google image search. And from Google image search, I can just type in Fast and the Furious train chase. As you can see, it gives me up a lot of pictures. Here's the exact picture that I want. I'm gonna click it, select, and now it's going to appear in my Jamboard. So I can resize this to however I want it and move. Unfortunately, like I told you earlier, you cannot link a video to this. So what I would do instead is I would use my text box tool, and I would create a text box, and I would just give directions like watch the video clip first. And then I would also add another text box which would have the particular YouTube. So this is where the YouTube link would be. So as you can see here, here's a final copy of it. This is what it would look like. So they would copy and paste the link to watch the video. There's the video link. They would just click on it, open it up, and it would take them right into the Fast and the Furious, and they can watch a super cool car chase. So, so there you go. That is the basics, like the basic fundamental usage of Jamboard. I just really like using Jamboard for this type of basic stuff. By the way, our website's out there that already have templates built for you, so you can open them up and you would just have to create copies for yourself to use those templates. But there are so many different ways to use this. It's really a matter of your imagination. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate the time that you're taking to watch this. I hope it has been helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments bar underneath this video. If you like what you're seeing in the content, please subscribe. It's nice to see people who want to get frequent updates from this particular channel. And in the meantime, I hope that if you have any other ideas for future videos or series that you want me to look at, please drop me a line. So thank you so much for coming out today and spending some time with me, and I hope this has been helpful for you. Until next time, I'm Mr. Dollins.